The alarm screams through the bridge of the UES Defiance. Red lights flash across Captain Sarah Chen's face as she grips her command chair. Outside the view screen, the black void of space burns with enemy fire. "Status report," Chen shouts over the chaos. Lieutenant Marcus Webb spins around from his console, sweat dripping down his dark face. "Captain, we've lost 3 destroyers in the last 10 minutes. The Zephyrian fleet is tearing us apart." Chen's knuckles turn white. For 6 months, humanity has been losing this war. The Zephyrians, tall insectoid aliens with technology far beyond Earth's, have crushed every human fleet they've encountered. Today was supposed to be different. Today was humanity's last chance. But like all the others, they're failing. Through the view screen, Chen watches another human ship explode in a ball of orange flame. The Vigilant, home to 800 souls, becomes nothing but debris in seconds. She's watched too many die already. "Sir," Communications Officer Lisa Park's voice cracks with panic. "Admiral Reeves is requesting immediate retreat. The flagship is taking heavy damage." Chen closes her eyes for a moment. They came here with 47 ships, humanity's entire remaining fleet. Now only 18 survive, and those are barely holding together. "Tell the Admiral." Chen begins, then stops. Something's wrong. The Zephyrian ships, moments ago pressing their attack with ruthless efficiency, have suddenly stopped firing. Their sleek, beetle-like vessels hang motionless in space, as if frozen. "What are they doing?" Webb asks, his voice barely a whisper. On the view screen, the massive Zephyrian command ship, a kilometer-long monster of chitinous armor and glowing weapons, begins to turn, not toward the human fleet but away from it. Park's hands fly over her console. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy readings from..." "Nowhere?" "What do you mean, nowhere?" "The readings are off the charts, but there's nothing on sensors. It's like space itself is..." The universe tears open. Reality ripples like water as something vast begins to materialize. The space between the human and Zephyrian fleets shimmers, bends, then splits apart to reveal something that shouldn't exist. Ship, but calling it a ship is like calling a mountain a rock. It's easily 3 times the size of the Zephyrian command vessel, its hull a deep matte black that seems to absorb light itself. Strange angular designs cover its surface. Not quite geometric, not quite organic. It has no visible weapons, no apparent engines, yet it radiates power like a sleeping dragon. The bridge of the Defiance falls silent except for the soft hum of electronics. Chen has seen many ships in her 20-year career, but nothing like this. It feels ancient, dangerous, and utterly alien. "My God," Webb whispers. "What is that thing?" Before anyone can answer, every screen on the bridge flickers. The ship's communication system activates on its own, and a voice fills the bridge. Deep, calm, and unmistakably human. "Human vessels. This is Captain James Mitchell of the UES Phantom. We've been monitoring your situation. Stand down and prepare for our intervention." Chen's blood turns to ice. James Mitchell died 3 years ago when his experimental ship vanished during a test flight. She knew him personally, served under him as a young lieutenant. But that voice, it's definitely him. "That's impossible," Park breathes. "The Phantom was destroyed. Captain Mitchell is dead." The mysterious ship begins to move, gliding toward the Zephyrian fleet with impossible grace. As it approaches, the alien vessels open fire. Beams of pure energy that have vaporized countless human ships streak toward the black vessel. The weapons simply disappear. Not deflected, not absorbed. They hit the ship's hull and vanish as if they never existed. "This is Captain Chen of the UES Defiance," she transmits on an open channel. "Identity yourself. How do you know our codes? How are you here?" The response comes immediately. "Hello, Sarah, it's good to see you again. As for how, that's complicated. For now, just watch and learn what humans are truly capable of." The black ship reaches the Zephyrian formation and stops. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, without any visible weapons firing, without any energy beams or missiles, the Zephyrian ships begin to shut down. One by one, their lights dim. Their weapons go silent. Their engines die. In less than 30 seconds, the entire alien fleet, ships that moments ago were slaughtering humans, becomes a collection of dark, lifeless hulls drifting in space. The bridge of the Defiance erupts, in shocked voices, but Chen raises her hand for silence. On the view screen, the impossible ship begins to turn toward the human fleet. All human vessels. Mitchell's voice returns. We need to talk. Prepare to receive boarding parties. And Sarah, prepare to learn the truth about what humanity really is. The transmission cuts out, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Chen stares at the alien ship that claims to be human, commanded by a man who should be dead, having just done the impossible. Outside, the Zephyrian fleet, unstoppable conquerors who have crushed humanity for months, floats helplessly in space, defeated without a shot being fired. But as Chen watches the mysterious ship, she realizes this victory might be more terrifying than any defeat. Who is James Mitchell now? What happened to his ship? And what did he mean about the truth of humanity? The questions multiply in her mind, but one thought rises above all others. The war might be over, but something much bigger is just beginning. 6 hours later, Captain Chen stands in the Defiance's main docking bay, her senior staff behind her. The massive doors seal shut as atmosphere returns to the bay. In the center sits a shuttle unlike any in the human fleet, sleek, angular, and made of the same light-absorbing material as the mysterious ship. The shuttle's door opens with a soft hiss, and 3 figures step out. The first is undeniably human, a tall woman with short silver hair and pale skin, wearing a uniform Chen doesn't recognize. The second appears human but moves wrong, too fluid, as if gravity affects him differently. The third figure makes Chen's heart stop. Captain James Mitchell looks exactly as he did 3 years ago. Same weathered face, same gray eyes, same confident stride. But something's different. His eyes hold depths that weren't there before, and when he moves, shadows seem to follow him. "Hello, Sarah," Mitchell says, his voice carrying that same impossible calm from the transmission. "You look older." "You look dead," Chen replies, not bothering with pleasantries. "I attended your memorial service." Mitchell smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "Death is a more flexible concept than we thought. May I introduce my crew? This is Commander Elena Vasquez, my science officer, and this is, well, he goes by Navigator now. He's not entirely human anymore." The Navigator steps forward, and Chen suppresses a shiver. His features are human, but his eyes are solid black, and when he speaks, his voice has an odd harmonic quality. "The modifications were necessary," the Navigator says. "Space beyond the veil requires adaptations." "Beyond the veil?" Webb asks, his hand unconsciously moving toward his sidearm. Vasquez answers. "Think of our universe as one layer of reality. There are others, deeper layers where different physics apply, where consciousness itself becomes a tool. We've been exploring them." Chen studies the 3 visitors carefully. They look human, speak like humans, but everything about them feels wrong. Too calm, too knowing, as if they've seen secrets that changed them fundamentally. "The Zephyrians," Chen says. "How did you defeat them so easily?" "We didn't defeat them," Mitchell explains. "We convinced them to stop, showed them something that made fighting pointless. What could possibly? The truth about what humanity is becoming," Mitchell interrupts. "Sarah, what if I told you that everything we thought we knew about our species was wrong? What if humans aren't just another intelligent species, but something unprecedented in the galaxy?" Chen exchanges glances with her staff. Webb looks skeptical, Park appears fascinated, and the ship's doctor, Commander Robert Hayes, seems deeply concerned. "I'd say you sound like every crazy cult leader in history," Chen responds. Mitchell laughs, and for a moment he sounds like the man she remembered. "Fair enough. Let me show you something instead." He nods to Vasquez, who produces a small device from her uniform. The device projects a hologram into the air, a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. "This is local space as we knew it 6 months ago," Mitchell explains. The hologram shows human territory as a small cluster of stars near one. "And this is what we've discovered." The hologram shifts, zooming out to show a vastly larger view. Scattered throughout the galaxy are other small clusters of stars, each marked with different colors. 17 intelligent species, Vasquez continues. Each confined to their own small region of space, each believing they're exploring a mostly empty galaxy. But look at this. The hologram changes again, showing energy patterns flowing between the regions like a vast network of rivers. The galaxy is alive, the navigator says, his strange voice echoing in the bay. It's a single organism, and each species is like an organ, serving a specific function. The Zephyrians were meant to be the immune system, eliminating threats to the whole. Then what were they doing attacking us? Webb demands. Mitchell's expression grows grave. Because something went wrong. Humanity was supposed to play a specific role, but we broke free from it. We became something the galaxy never intended. Chen feels a chill run down her spine. What role? We were supposed to be the nervous system, Mitchell says quietly. The consciousness that guides the whole organism. But instead of accepting that role, we developed individual consciousness, free will, the ability to choose our own path. The hologram shifts again, showing energy patterns around human space that pulse and writhe chaotically, unlike the steady flows around other species. We're the glitch in the system, Vasquez explains, the part that refuses to function as designed, and that terrifies the other species even if they don't consciously understand why. Dr. Hayes steps forward, his medical training making him skeptical. This is fascinating speculation, but how can you possibly know any of this? The navigator turns those unsettling black eyes toward him. Because we've been to the other side. We've spoken with the intelligence that designed this galaxy. We've seen the blueprint. What intelligence? Chen asks, though part of her doesn't want to know. Mitchell hesitates for the first time since arriving. Something old, Sarah. Something that's been shaping the development of life in this galaxy for millions of years. It's not malevolent exactly, but it has its own agenda. And humanity, we don't fit. The docking bay falls silent except for the hum of life support systems. Chen tries to process what she's hearing. If it's true, it explains so much. Why every alien species they've encountered has seemed instinctively hostile. Why human technology develops so differently. Why they've always felt alone in the universe. But it also raises terrifying questions. The war, she says slowly. Was it all orchestrated? The Zephyrians were nudged toward aggression, yes, Mitchell confirms, but not by the intelligence directly. There are intermediaries, species that serve as the intelligence's agents helping to maintain the designed order. Webb slams his fist on a nearby crate. So we're what? Lab rats that escaped the maze? More like cancer cells, the navigator says with disturbing calm. Cells that stopped following the body's programming and began multiplying according to their own plan. The comparison hangs in the air like a death sentence. Chen has led humans in battle for years, always believing they were fighting for freedom, for survival, for the right to exist. Now she's being told they're a cosmic mistake. But you stopped the Zephyrians, she says. How? Mitchell smiles again, and this time it's genuinely warm. Because being a mistake doesn't mean we're wrong, Sarah, it means we're something new. And sometimes new is exactly what an old system needs. He gestures to the shuttle behind him. We've learned to use our difference as a weapon. Human consciousness, human stubborn refusal to accept limitations. It's not a bug in the system. It's an upgrade. I need to see this ship of yours, Chen says. I need to understand what you've become. I was hoping you'd say that, Mitchell replies. But I should warn you, once you see what we've discovered, you can never unsee it. Your understanding of reality will change forever. Chen looks at her officers, sees the mixture of fear and curiosity in their faces. Then she looks back at Mitchell, her old mentor, returned from the dead with impossible knowledge and even more impossible power. Captain, Webb says quietly, this could be a trap. Everything's a trap, Lieutenant, Chen replies. The question is whether it's a trap we can turn to our advantage. She meets Mitchell's gray eyes, searching for some trace of the man she once knew. She finds it in the slight smile lines, the way he holds his shoulders, the familiar confidence. But underneath, she senses something vast and alien, as if the human Mitchell is just the surface of something much deeper. "All right, James," she says, "show me what humanity has become." As they board the strange shuttle, Chen catches Dr. Hayes muttering under his breath. "I've got a bad feeling about this." She does too, but as the shuttle's doors close and they lift off toward the impossible ship, Chen realizes that bad feelings might be irrelevant now. Humanity has apparently been playing a game they didn't know existed, by rules they never agreed to, against opponents they never saw coming. It's time to learn the real rules. Or maybe, Chen thinks as she watches Mitchell's too calm expression, it's time to break them entirely. The new ships are unlike anything in Chen's experience. Where human vessels are angular and functional, and Zephyrian ships are organic and flowing, these newcomers seem to exist partially outside normal space. They flicker in and out of visibility, their hulls shifting between solid matter and something else entirely. 12 vessels, Vasquez reports, her fingers dancing over controls that respond to her thoughts. Each one approximately the size of a battle cruiser, but their energy signatures are unusual. Unusual how? Chen asks. They're drawing power from multiple dimensional layers simultaneously, the navigator explains. These aren't just ships, they're focused expressions of will from the deep. Mitchell stands at the center of the bridge, his transformed crew moving around him with fluid efficiency. The overseers, he explains to Chen. They're the intelligence's enforcement arm. Not a species exactly, but something between biology and pure thought. On the main display, one of the overseer ships begins to transmit. The signal bypasses normal communication entirely, appearing as images directly in everyone's minds. Chen sees, feels, experiences a presence of vast age and authority. When it speaks, the words seem to come from inside her own thoughts, human consciousness, Sarah Chen. The experiment is concluded. Humanity has failed to accept assigned parameters. Reset protocol will commence. Like hell it will, Chen replies aloud, though she somehow knows the overseer can hear her thoughts. Resistance is irrelevant. Galactic stability requires conformity. All species must accept their designated roles. Mitchell steps forward. That's where you're wrong. Show them what we discovered, ship. The Phantom responds to his command by projecting a hologram that fills the bridge. Chen sees the galaxy as she's never seen it before. Not just the physical, stars and planets, but the web of consciousness connecting every living being. Look at the patterns, Mitchell says. For millions of years, the galactic consciousness has been static, each species locked in their role, the overall system unchanging. But see what happens when we trace the development curves. The hologram shifts, showing projected futures. In every scenario where humanity accepts a predetermined role, the galaxy's consciousness plateaus, then slowly begins to decay. Consciousness without growth dies, Vasquez adds. The intelligence created a stable system, but stability without evolution is just another word for death. This analysis is flawed, the overseer responds, but Chen detects something new in its mental voice. Uncertainty. Is it? Mitchell challenges. Ship, show them the Veltari archives. The hologram changes, displaying records from a species Chen has never heard of. She watches a civilization that once burned with creativity and discovery, gradually losing their spark as they accepted their designated role as cosmic librarians. The Veltari were artists and philosophers, the navigator explains. Their consciousness once rivaled humanity's in complexity, but they accepted limitation, and now. The display shows the Veltari homeworld, a planet of beautiful spires and perfect order, inhabited by beings who go through the motions of their assigned functions with no real purpose or joy. They're alive but not living, Dr. Hayes realizes with horror. They serve their purpose. Chaos is not preferable to order. But growth is preferable to stagnation, Chen says, finally understanding. She looks at Mitchell. This is what you meant about humanity being different. We refuse to stop growing. Exactly. And our refusal forces growth in everything around us. Other species that encounter humans don't stay static. We irritate them into evolution. The overseer ships begin to move closer, and Chen feels the weight of their attention like a physical pressure. Final analysis indicates human consciousness remains unsuitable for galactic integration. Reset protocol will eliminate the anomaly. Not if we have anything to say about it, Chen declares. She turns to Mitchell. James, I need to know. Are you still human? Mitchell considers the question carefully. I'm what humans become when we stop accepting limitations. We're still us, Sarah, just more. Chen looks around the bridge at Mitchell's transformed crew. Despite their changes, she recognizes something fundamentally human in each of them. Curiosity, determination, the refusal to give up. They've evolved, but they haven't lost what makes them human. Then I accept, she says. Not just for me, but for all humanity. We'll be what we were meant to be. Unacceptable, the overseer responds, and Chen feels its anger like ice in her veins. Reset protocol initiating. The overseer ships open fire, but these aren't conventional weapons. Reality itself bends around their attack, space twisting into configurations that shouldn't exist. Chen watches in horror as one of the damaged human vessels simply ceases to be, not destroyed but retroactively prevented from ever existing. Temporal weapons, Webb breathes. They're attacking us through time itself. Ship, Mitchell commands. Defensive posture. Show them what human stubbornness looks like when properly applied. The Phantom responds instantly. Around the human fleet, space-time solidifies, creating barriers that the overseer weapons can't penetrate. But Chen can feel the strain. The ship is fighting reality itself to protect them. This won't hold for long, Vasquez warns. They're attacking on multiple dimensional levels simultaneously. Chen makes her decision. Can you modify more humans? Transform them like you transformed your crew? Mitchell's eyes widen. Sarah, the process is dangerous. Not everyone survives it. How many do you need? The more consciousness we can bring to bear, the stronger our position becomes. But the transformation, it changes everything. You won't be the same person afterward. Chen thinks of her crew, her responsibility to them, to humanity, to the very concept of free consciousness. Then she thinks of the alternative, reset, stagnation, the slow death of awareness itself. Do it. Mitchell nods to his crew. Around the bridge, strange devices begin to activate, filling the air with harmonics that seem to resonate in Chen's bones. All human vessels, Mitchell broadcasts. We're going to offer you a choice. You can remain as you are and we'll protect you as best we can. Or you can join us in becoming something new, something that can stand against forces like the overseers. The response from the fleet is immediate. Dozens of voices, some afraid, some angry, some desperately curious. What's the catch? Admiral Reeves's voice crackles over the comm. The catch is that you'll never be purely human again, Mitchell admits. But you'll be more than human. You'll be what consciousness becomes when it stops accepting limitations. Chen steps forward to add her voice to the transmission. I've seen what they're offering. It's not easy, and it's not safe. But it's growth. It's the next step in what we were always becoming. Outside, the overseer ships press their attack. More human vessels flicker out of existence as temporal weapons erase them from history. But for each ship lost, 2 others transmit their acceptance. We're getting volunteers from 18 ships, Park reports. That's over 3,000 people. The ship can handle that many transformations simultaneously, Vasquez confirms, but it'll leave us vulnerable during the process. The humans. Delay the inevitable, the overseer broadcasts, its mental voice filled with cold certainty. Consciousness cannot transcend its designed limitations. Watch us, Chen replies. The transformation begins. Chen feels her consciousness expand beyond the boundaries of her skull, touching the minds of thousands of other humans undergoing the same change. She experiences Webb's fierce loyalty, Park's insatiable curiosity, Dr. Hayes's deep compassion for all living things. But more than that, she feels the connections spreading, human consciousness linking with human consciousness, creating a network of awareness unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. Through the expanding network, she senses the overseer's growing alarm. This isn't what their models predicted. Human consciousness isn't just resisting limitation, it's actively transcending it, pulling other minds along in its wake. Impossible, the overseer broadcasts. But now its certainty wavers. Nothing's impossible, Chen replies through the network. You just haven't been thinking big enough. The transformation completes, and Chen opens eyes that see more than they did before. The bridge of the Phantom now holds dozens of transformed humans, each one a node in a vast network of consciousness that spans multiple ships, and they're no longer alone. Captain, the navigator says, his strange voice now harmonizing with dozens of others. We're receiving transmissions from the Zephyrian fleet. On the main display, one of the disabled Zephyrian ships flickers back to life. Its captain appears, on screen, a tall insectoid being with compound eyes that now hold something new, curiosity. Human consciousness, the Zephyrian says, its translator making the words sound stilted but sincere. We observed your transformation. We felt it, the expansion of awareness. We request to know more. Mitchell smiles. Another species choosing growth over stagnation. Contamination spreads, the overseer warns, its mental voice, now tinged with something Chen has never heard from it before. Fear. The aberration must not be allowed to propagate. Too late, Chen says, feeling the network of human consciousness reaching out, touching other minds throughout the system. Growth is contagious. The overseer ships begin to retreat, but Chen knows this is far from over. They've won this battle, but the war for consciousness itself has just begun. As the transformed human fleet prepares to follow their impossible allies into the deep, Chen realizes that she was wrong earlier. This isn't about humanity stepping into a war. This is about consciousness itself finally learning to fight back. Epilogue: The New Frontier. 6 months after the Battle of Convergence, Captain Sarah Chen stands on the observation deck of the UES Transcendence, watching a sight that still amazes her after all this time. Outside, a mixed fleet of ships moves, through space that isn't quite space, the borderland between normal reality and the deep. Human vessels now incorporate design principles that bend physics to their will. Zephyrian ships pulse with new biomechanical interfaces that respond to conscious intent. And scattered throughout the fleet are representatives of 6 other species that have chosen growth over stagnation. The network is expanding faster than our projections indicated, Commander Vasquez reports, her form now partially composed of living light. We're detecting awakening consciousness in systems we haven't even visited yet. Chen nods, feeling the vast web of connected minds that spans dozens of star systems. What began as a network of transformed humans has become something unprecedented, a galactic consciousness that preserves individuality while enabling collective growth. Any word from the overseers? She asks. They've gone deeper, the navigator responds. His form has evolved even further, becoming a shifting pattern of thought that only occasionally resembles humanity. The intelligence is reconsidering its approach to galactic management. Through the network, Chen feels a familiar presence approaching. James Mitchell materializes beside her, his form now more energy than matter, but his personality unmistakably intact. The latest. The shuttle approaches the massive black ship, and Chen gets her first close look at humanity's impossible savior. The hull isn't just dark, it seems to bend light around it, creating areas where her eyes simply refuse to focus. Strange symbols pulse along its surface, appearing and disappearing like thoughts half remembered. The symbols, she asks Mitchell. What do they mean? They're not writing, Mitchell replies. They're more like instructions, commands written in the language of reality itself. The shuttle enters what should be a docking bay, but Chen's mind struggles to process what she sees. The space is larger inside than the ship's exterior dimensions should allow. The walls curve in directions that hurt to look at, and the lighting comes from everywhere and nowhere. Don't try to understand the architecture, Commander Vasquez advises, noticing Chen's discomfort. Human brains weren't designed to process non-Euclidean geometry. You'll adapt. As they disembark, Chen notices her boots make no sound on the deck. When she looks down, She realizes she can't tell where her feet end and the floor begins. The boundary seems negotiable. What did you do to this ship? Dr. Hayes asks, his voice tight with concern. We improved it, the navigator answers. Merged human engineering with principles from deeper reality layers. The ship thinks now. It's not just a machine, it's a partner. They walk through corridors that shift and flow around them. Chen has the unsettling feeling that the ship is watching her, evaluating her, deciding whether she belongs here. How many crew members do you have? Webb asks. 17, Mitchell says. The same 17 who vanished with the original Phantom 3 years ago. Though human might not be the right term for what we are now, they enter what appears to be the bridge, though calling it that seems inadequate. The space expands in all directions, filled with displays that show not just the local star system, but layers of reality Chen can't begin to comprehend. She sees the galaxy as it is, but also as it was, as it might be, and as something else entirely wants it to be. At various stations around the bridge, figures work at controls that seem to respond to thought rather than touch. They look human at first glance, but as Chen's eyes adjust, she notices the differences. One officer has skin that ripples with patterns of light. Another's hair moves like living shadow. A third appears to be partially translucent. My crew, Mitchell explains. They volunteered for the modifications. It was the only way to survive where we've been. Which was where exactly? Chen asks. Mitchell gestures to one of the displays, which shows a view that makes Chen's stomach lurch. She sees space, but not normal space. This is somewhere else entirely. A realm where physics works differently, where consciousness and matter interweave, where thought becomes reality. We call it the deep, Mitchell says. It's the layer beneath our universe, where the fundamental forces originate. The intelligence I mentioned, it lives there. The display shifts, showing something that Chen's mind refuses to properly process. She gets impressions, vast, ancient, crystalline structures that pulse with their own light. Beings of pure thought moving through dimensions her brain can't map, and underlying it all a sense of overwhelming purpose and design. It's beautiful, Park whispers, staring at the display with wonder. And terrifying, Dr. Hayes adds. James, what has it done to you? To your crew? Mitchell turns to face them fully, and for a moment his human mask slips. Chen sees something behind his eyes, knowledge so vast and alien that it should have driven him insane. But instead of madness, she sees evolution. It showed us what we really are, Mitchell says. Humans aren't just another species that evolved on a single planet. We're something unprecedented. Consciousness that refuses to be contained, creativity that won't be directed, free will that can't be programmed. That sounds like what humans have always been, Webb points out. No, the navigator corrects, his voice carrying harmonics that seem to come from impossible directions. What humans have always been is a pale shadow of what we could become. The intelligence in the deep created this galaxy as a closed system, with each species playing a predetermined role. But human consciousness is like a virus in that system. We spread, we adapt, we change everything we touch. Vasquez approaches one of the displays, her movements oddly graceful. Show them the convergence protocol, she tells the ship. The displays change, showing a timeline that stretches back millions of years. Chen watches the birth and death of countless civilizations, each one rising to a certain level before suddenly stagnating, accepting their role in the galactic order. Every species reaches a point where they stop growing, Vasquez explains. They find their niche in the galactic ecosystem and stay there. The Zephyrians became warriors, the Altarians became builders, the Veltari became scholars. Each one accepted their limitations. But not humans, Chen realizes. Never humans, Mitchell confirms. We reached that convergence point 1,000 years ago, but we kept growing anyway. We kept pushing, kept questioning, kept refusing to accept that this is all there is. The timeline shows human development as a chaotic spiral, breaking every pattern established by other species. That's why the other species fear us, the navigator adds. Unconsciously, they know we represent change to a system that's been stable for eons. We're the unknown variable in an equation that was supposed to be solved long ago. Dr. Hayes studies the displays with growing alarm. And this intelligence? What does it want to do about us? The bridge falls silent. Outside the ship, Chen can see the disabled Zephyrian fleet, and beyond that, the remnants of humanity's forces waiting for answers. Originally, it wanted to eliminate us, Mitchell says finally. Humanity was seen as a threat to galactic stability, but when we made contact, in the deep we showed it something else. Which was? Mitchell smiles, and this time it reaches his transformed eyes. Possibility. For millions of years, the intelligence has been maintaining a static system, keeping everything in perfect balance. But perfect balance means no growth, no change, no evolution. We showed it that chaos, controlled chaos, might be exactly what the galaxy needs to grow beyond its current limitations. Chen feels a chill of understanding. You made a deal. We made an alliance, Mitchell corrects. Humanity becomes the catalyst for change, helping other species break free from their programmed limitations. In return, we're allowed to exist and grow without interference. And if we refuse? Webb asks. The navigator's black eyes turn toward him. Then the galaxy resets. Every species gets reduced to their base programming, and biological life starts over from the beginning. Except this time, consciousness like ours won't be allowed to develop. The implications hit Chen like a physical blow. Humanity isn't just fighting for survival. They're fighting for the right of consciousness itself to evolve beyond predetermined limits. The other human ships, she says. Do they know? Not yet, Mitchell replies. That's why you're here, Sarah. As the senior surviving captain, you need to decide whether humanity accepts this responsibility. Chen looks around the impossible bridge at the crew members who have transcended normal human limitations, at the displays showing layers of reality she never imagined existed. The weight of decision presses down on her like gravity from a collapsing star. What exactly would accepting mean? It means humans become shepherds of change, Vasquez explains. We help other species break free from their limitations. We explore, not just space, but consciousness itself. We become what we were always meant to be, the universe's way of transcending its own boundaries. And if other species resist? Then we show them what resistance really means, the navigator says with something that might have been a smile. Chen realizes she's standing at the fulcrum of history. Behind her lies humanity, as she's always known it, struggling, limited, but free. Ahead lies something unimaginably larger but also unrecognizably alien. I need to think about this, she says. Of course, Mitchell agrees. But Sarah, time is a factor. The intelligence won't wait forever for our answer. And there are other forces in the galaxy, ones that want to see the reset happen regardless of what we choose. As if summoned by his words, alarms begin to sound throughout the ship. The displays shift, showing new contacts appearing at the edge of the system. Ships. Lots of ships. But not Zephyrian, and definitely not human. Ah, Mitchell says with grim satisfaction. The overseers have arrived. Sarah, I'm afraid your thinking time just got cut short. Chen stares at the approaching fleet, realizing that whatever decision she makes in the next few hours will determine not just humanity's future, but the future of consciousness itself throughout the galaxy. The war for humanity was just the beginning. Now the real fight is about to start.